Hello, hello. I am Coach Cori Sartori. I empower high achieving women to grow in their self-love, confidence, and relationships for a more fulfilling personal life. I'm excited to share with you today how to have better communication in your relationships because I know it is so valuable when you can communicate with your partner, with your parents, with your friends, with your kids. Communication is everything in a relationship. And so I'm really excited to share with you today a few tips on how to have better communication in your relationships. I know for me, communication is everything. Not just in my relationship. When I meet with clients and they're having problems in their relationship, a lot of it is because they're not communicating, right? They make assumptions, they tell themselves stories, they don't tell their partner how they're feeling, and it ends up just hurting them, not just their partner. And my husband and I have a great relationship. We are very good at communication. We also have a ton of experience. I've known my husband since I was 15 years old, and he was my codependent relationship, my unhealthy relationship. We spent 3 years apart with no contact and then magically came back into each other's lives. But when we came back into each other's lives, we made communication a huge part of what we put first in our relationship because we didn't have it in the past. We had poor communication. I would make up stories and he would make up stories, and there was just resentment and negative energy there. And so communication is everything in our relationship, whether it's communicating about parenting, communicating how we feel, everything. Communication is everything. And so I hope that you choose to take on these actions that I'm going to offer you today if you are struggling to have good communication in your relationship, because having good communication is everything. So let's dive in. I'm going to offer you 5 tips today on how to have better communication in your relationship. So the first thing I'm going to offer you today is to have daily check-ins. And this one is really valuable to do with your partner, right? All of the tips I'm going to offer you today, you can do with anyone you want to have a better relationship with. But having daily check-ins with your partner can be so valuable. Having daily check-ins with your kids can be so valuable. Daily check-ins can just be like, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? How did XYZ go today? Make sure that you're checking in with the people in your life that you care about and let them be heard. So the next thing I'm going to share with you, and the next tip, is to listen. Listen to listen rather than listening to respond, right? Somebody's talking to you and you are just sitting there waiting for your turn to speak and you're not hearing anything that they're saying. You're already thinking of your response and you're not present. You're not hearing anything that they're trying to share with you. And so listen, listen, listen. Listening is everything. When you listen, you learn. You don't learn anything when you're talking. And I know we all love the sound of our own voice and we want to cut people off and say what we want to say. But listening is everything, right? Do this with every relationship. This is something I had to get really good at when I was in a leadership role, because I would want to cut people off and, jump in and start telling them my feedback or my coaching or my thoughts. And that was never valuable. And so make sure that you are listening to people in your life, whether that be a coworker, your parent, your kids. Actually listen to listen rather than listening to respond. It does not add value when you don't hear anything that they say. So really listen, then you can learn where the other people are coming from. The next thing that I'm going to offer you is to respond rather than react. So what does that look like, right? Somebody does something, somebody says something, you immediately want to react. And sometimes you want to react in rage. I challenge you to respond. So what that looks like is, instead of reacting when, say, your partner says something that pisses you off, rather than reacting, take a moment to breathe. So stop and just breathe. Take 5 deep breaths and then respond, right? Taking those 5 deep breaths will allow you to calm, to be in the present moment, and then to respond. And so respond rather than react. You know that when you react, it comes from all emotions. There's no logic there. And so I challenge you to take 5 deep breaths and then respond rather than react. The next tip I want to offer you is don't make assumptions. And this is huge. This is like everything. You get in an argument with somebody in your life and you start creating a story about what they're thinking, what they did, how they're feeling. And it's just a story. It's not real. You're just making assumptions. And so to not make assumptions means that you need to start having hard conversations and you need to start asking questions. So if something comes up for you, if your partner upsets you, rather than making an assumption and start telling yourself a story, talk to them. Ask them questions. Why did this happen? Why did you say this? Why did you react this way? Get into asking questions. This is one of the biggest things with communication, especially in relationships with partners, is we make assumptions all day. Oh, your husband didn't text you back in the timely manner that you think he should. And you start telling yourself, I'm so this person. Like, I would call my husband and he wouldn't answer. And I would be like, oh my gosh, he's dead on the side of the road. Like, I would start spiraling sometimes. And I would make up stories and I would make assumptions and I would call him until he answered. And he's like, chill, babe, I was busy. And I'm like guilty because I never answer my phone. So don't make assumptions. If you can ask the hard questions rather than making assumptions, that will be really valuable for you. And that will help you have better communication in your relationships. It will help you grow in your relationships. And the last tip that I want to offer you is be grateful and say thank you. Gratitude is everything. So when you are having a conversation with someone in your life and they're sharing something with you, say thank you. Hey, thank you so much for sharing that with me. This is actually how I'm feeling. Rather than just ignoring it, moving past, gratitude and saying thank you can go a very long way. And so I challenge you to start saying thank you to the people in your life. When they feel valued, they're going to want to be more open with you and communicate. And so something that I do with my husband is when he shares something that's been coming up for him that's hard, I tell him, thank you. Thank you, babe, for sharing that with me. That was really something that I needed to hear, and I appreciate you taking the time. And he does the same thing for me. Thank you for sharing that. Right? Because sometimes I'm emotional and I freak out, and then I can calm myself down and I can go have a conversation with him. And he always is like, thank you for sharing that with me. I didn't know that's how you were feeling. And so I challenge you to be grateful and to say thank you. So those are the 5 tips I want to offer you in having better communication in your relationships. And I will quickly review those. So maybe grab a pen and paper to write them down. But here are my 5 tips to have better communication in your relationships. The first one is do daily check-ins. Do daily check-ins with the people in your life that are important and you want to have strong relationships with. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What happened today? What came up for you? The second thing I'm going to offer you is listen. Stop talking and let the other person be heard. Do not interrupt people. It's rude. So listen. Let them be heard. You are going to learn something when you're listening. You're not going to learn anything when you're talking. The third thing is respond, don't react. So when something happens, rather than reacting, take a moment to breathe. 5 deep breaths and then respond. Whether that be to your partner, your parents, your kids, right? I have a 4-year-old. Oh my gosh, sometimes I react and then I immediately have to go and apologize to him for reacting rather than responding. And so I challenge you to breathe and respond. The next thing is to not make assumptions. Do not make assumptions. The stories you tell yourself in your head just make your relationship harder and it makes your communication harder. So rather than telling yourself a whole story about what's going on, have those hard conversations with those people in your life. Ask them hard questions. And then the last thing that I want to offer you is be grateful and say thank you. Say thank you to your partner when they share. Say thank you to your mom when she tells you something hard is going on in her life. Say thank you to your kids when they tell you what's going on at school. Right? When you are grateful and you say thank you, people are going to want to share more with you and be more open with you. So come from a place of gratitude and always say thank you. So those are the 5 tips that I want to offer you on how to have better communication in your relationships. I hope it added value to your life. I am taking on 5 one-on-one coaching clients for the month of April. This is huge. I have created my amazing new program. It is a 6-month program that will change your life. It is so incredible. I absolutely love it. And I'm so excited to be offering it to you. So if you are ready to transform your life, send me a DM right now with the word program and we will get connected and I will show you how my coaching program can help you start living a life that you love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Have a great day.